52. The small and the great things, the urgent and the distant. A new world awaits. An ordinary day came to a close in the evening. Joran was exhausted. The whole day had been devoted to duties. Joran was known for his thoroughness and sense of responsibility. He faced all questions and challenges with seriousness, not with shortcuts, not with indifference, but with receptiveness and wise humanity. Being a decent human being was demanding, but better to be sincerely worn out than spent on nonsense and trivialities. Joran's dilemma had always been the balance between activity and rest. He never found that balance. Usually, there was far too much activity. He could never find peace in rest. Thoughts kept popping up, thoughts and ideas that inspired action. He had never looked at himself critically from the outside, at the imbalance in his life. But that was before he met Malin. That marked a clear turning point, before and after Malin. Malin, a few years younger, yes, quite a few years younger. Already here, a new imbalance appears. It doesn't matter much. Joran was comfortable with the situation, Malin less so. They had met in a strange way. Both had an interest in history and archaeology and had signed up for a course on the subject, not in some local farmland, but in Sinai, in Egypt. They had, without knowing about each other, attended a lecture series at the University of Oslo on the topic Moses' path through the desert, Several unbiblical claims had crept in, questioning the authenticity of this central story from the books of Moses in the Bible. Many believed the narratives had no basis in reality and were entirely fictional, very convincingly fictional. Central to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But what did the archaeological findings say? Malin and Joran had managed the extraordinary feat of not seeing or meeting each other on the journey from Oslo Airport, Gardermoen, to Cairo Airport. With 7 hours on the plane and various bathroom breaks, it was almost astonishing that they hadn't crossed paths in some way. Not even on the several-hour bus ride the next day from downtown Cairo to the foot of Mount Sinai had this future couple managed to notice each other. Such a long journey without a single glance or nudge is an accomplishment in itself. But God's plan, as beautifully written in Romans chapter 9, speaks of predestination. That all things are preordained. Then all one can do is surrender, not believe in coincidences or amusing happenstances. Everything that happens is carefully planned and orchestrated by the highest God. That very chapter of the Bible has puzzled many. But the Calvinists of the 1600s took it literally and formed a new religious direction, influential in their time. Not even at the humble eatery set up at the foot of Mount Sinai did Joran and Malin manage to meet. Joran ended up at a small table in the corner with 3 others from the travel group. One of the women there had started clinging to Joran, but he wasn't particularly thrilled and tried to withdraw. Luckily, lunch was over, and Joran pulled away and headed towards the front of the group. They were to walk up to the top of Mount Sinai, supposedly where Moses received the 10 Commandments from the God Yahweh. On the way up the mountain, Joran accidentally stepped on the heel of the woman in front of him. She got hurt and had to sit down. Joran sat down beside her, apologetic and wanting to help. That's where he met Malin, and right there on the mountain slope, Malin met Joran. In just a split nanosecond, fate was sealed. They both knew immediately that this moment was sacred. They stood on holy ground. That was one thing. The other was the moment itself. Malin was bleeding from her heel, and Joran tore off a piece of his shirt and bandaged his future wife. Quite naturally, he lifted her up and half carried her the rest of the way. She leaned on his right side and hopped on one foot all the way to the top of the mountain. Moses wasn't there. Nor were the stone tablets, but a comical puppet show setup had been arranged. clearly intended to recreate the magic of ancient times. Malin was overjoyed. Her heel throbbed. But her eyes sparkled like the starry sky. Likewise, Joran felt numb all over but intoxicated by the moment. Two great moments converged, one expected, the other entirely unforeseen. Endorphins and oxytocin surged in their blood. Was Yahweh present now? Or are we speaking instead of biochemistry and the urge to uncover a new archaeological breakthrough? Both were stunned by the moment. Without grounding, they moved closer to an apparently sacred point at the mountain's summit. Whether they were inside their bodies or outside, only the gods know. Reality had transformed into a kind of plasma-like sphere, and they floated within this substance. Then came the crash. A thundering tan-tan. A gong from the Far East had been